Okay, as I'm talking to you now, the US government, the US Congress are currently deliberating on what on Nnamdi Kanu's current travail and what and the continuous killing of Christian in Nigeria, which is personally to me, I don't think this is ending anytime soon. And we saw the likes of Riley Moore, we saw the like of Ted Cruz, we saw some other US senator debate on what on the current travail of Nnamdi Kanu, and the killing of Christian in the United States of America, most importantly in Washington D.C. But as for the judgment that Justice Omotosho gave today, I don't think that will stand. I don't think that will stand because to me the judge is looking just as if he was saying the judgment as if he was angry as regards what Nnamdi Kanu, him being angry, him being aggressive in court. And then we've heard what Maxwell Okpara said. He said, "Come next week, that judgment will be overruled or overturned because why? Because he said Omotosho left what he's supposed to have done and was I think giving judgment out of anger. He said he was giving judgment out of anger, and that what and that come next week, I think they've even started filing, they started processing, the appeal."
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians, they understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in fear.
Of which they'll be taking, I think possibly tomorrow, they'll be taking, they'll be going to appeal because I don't see any reason why, just on Tuesday, we saw a former ISWAP leader, Ismaila, being sentenced to 20 years in prison because of this is someone that has killed people, has burned down churches, has killed a lot of innocent people, on their farms, in their house, bomb, do a lot of nasty things, and is getting 20 years. And to me personally, I don't think it will even last up to that 20 years before he's being freed by the by what we know. Before they'll say there's a prison outbreak. Before these people, they will allow them go. Then some of them might even flee to another country before coming back to continue their rubbish and their mayhem, in Nigeria here, or continue their kidnapping and terrorism business. I don't know. Even just recently we saw a general saying that what General Abdul Malik saying that what the Boko Haram have the opportunity for them to lay down their weapon unconditionally, and who knows that they might become the president of Nigeria. How will a terrorist, somebody that has killed, somebody that has done a lot of evil, become a president of a country? And this is one of the problems Nigeria is facing up to this moment, integrating terrorists into the military. I don't think that is something that is sensible. How will you integrate terrorists into the military? And this set of people, just recently we saw what the people that were going to rescue the 25 girls that were caught, the people that kidnapped the 24 girls in Kebbi State, they were ambushed. That should show you that there are people giving intelligence to this Boko Haram in the military. In America, has not done anything bad to warrant this level of I don't because it's so shameful, This was someone that was released, by the appeal court in 2022. The appeal court set him free, of every crime. The appeal court said Namdi Kanu was illegally rendition from Kenya, of which the Kenya government, I think they've come to realization that yes, they did something bad, they did something wrong. So why should he not be set free, or why should he not be let go? Even the Kenya court had to order the Kenya government to pay, the sum of 10 million shillings. And see yet, the Nigerian government are adamant to let him go. And also, don't even forget that UN Working Committee in 2022, also in 2022, they came out to say what? That Nnamdi Kanu should be set free unconditionally. They should be set free unconditionally. But despite that, he still head in the DSS John. Because of he said what he said, he was fighting for his people, and what he said, or what he said, finally came to pass, and that's what is happening presently in Nigeria. And what I'm even shocked about is what is that when the DSS went to his home, or when or what they caught him with in Kenya, they saw radio transmitter, and radio transmitter, from what everybody knows, is not a gun, it's not a bomb, it's not a gun, it's not a bomb. Even the Boko Harams and the terrorists that are even kidnapping and killing people are working freely. We see what is happening in Zamfara, we see what's happening in Katsina, we see what's happening in this various states. And you see bandits during the broad daylight shooting gun, going for a peace park meeting in the same Nigeria, and nothing is being said, nothing is happening. I don't know, it's kind of painful, it's kind of shameful. This is someone that he was not caught with gun. He was not caught with gun. He was not caught with any of all this. I don't know. I'm not short of words. I'm short of words. But personally, I think the president of Nigeria will set Nnamdi Kanu free. I don't know how. But I think they might want to use it as just a political game. That's what a political game. Come for 2027. That's where I see it. That's why I see it. I know Nnamdi Kanu, has not done anything to warrant life imprisonment. He has not done what they are saying. Even we heard what Atiku, the NAS president, said. He said, Nnamdi Kanu is somebody that people in the DSS facility, they look up to him. They see him as a leader. That the way they portray him to be is not what he is. And Nnamdi Kanu what is a leader, is a leader. And so I've been saying it for a very long time, that what because we heard what Omotosho said. He said he should Nnamdi Kanu was supposed to be sentenced to they also have sentenced him to death, but I don't think that's a good one, because we will know what might happen there in the southeast. Before we know, innocent people or the evil people, the Fulani bandits, even the Southeasterners that are committing mayhem and that hiding under IPOB will start killing people again in the Southeast, because presently the Southeast is peaceful. The Southeast is peaceful currently, but with what is being said now, mayhem, killings on people's farm, going to people's house to kill people, to rape, to kidnap, all this might start again. But currently the Southeast is peaceful. They sit at home now, it's I don't know, but Nnamdi Kanu is not the problem of Nigeria. That's just the truth. Nnamdi Kanu is not the problem of Nigeria. So I think the present government and Nnamdi Kanu, have to come, to round table to discuss as regards, because Nnamdi Kanu has listed what he wants from the government for him to drop agitation. But it's as if, the government, I think to me personally, I will not say they are scared of him, because they feel if he comes out, the agitation might start again. He's so powerful, he's so popular there in the Southeast, if possibly globally now, because with what is being said, we saw how the US Congress were discussing about him today. We saw what the US Congress were saying about Namdi Kanu today, the US lawmakers, they were talking about him today, saying that what he is held unjustly and that what he should be set free. But a lot of people are asking, can the US or the UN do they have what it takes to finally set him free? Why not? Because he was agitating for the freedom of his people, and according to the UN law, it's legal. It's something that is legal by the United States, by the United Nations. So in Nnamdi Kanu, I think just like Okpara said, he said they'll be filing an appeal, that this is not a judgment, that come what may, that possibly tomorrow they'll be submitting the appeal. And he was so confident that this decision will be overturned. He said this decision will be overturned, and that nothing can stop Nnamdi Kanu or the appeal from overturning this decision.
My people, now good evening. Just because many of you have been calling me, let everybody calm down. We are filing our notice appeal tomorrow, and be rest assured, the judgment is going to be set aside, because this is not judgment at all. If you are doubting me, I will get the CTC of the judgment tomorrow. I will give it to you and the record of proceedings. You will now discover that the judge left what issues that we raised. He left everything that we are talking about and be writing another thing. So that judgment, it was predicated on anger. It just, Mazin and Carlo has insulted me. I will show him that I'm a judge. That's all. That's all. It's not predicated on law at all. A matter that was not investigated, the judge, you rejected the statement of Mazin and Carlo, the DSS wanted to tender. Now, if a matter that was not investigated, there was no statement, there was no investigation report, on what basis are you giving judgment? Issues of the whole Mazin and Carlo race, you did not even address it. You are talking about bombing Britain, British High Commission, bombing American Embassy. All those things doesn't make sense at all. We are filing our appeal tomorrow. We are going to set it aside. Let everybody calm down. Thank you and God bless you.
For everyone, you need to come on board. Boko Haram should lay their arms unconditionally and be accepted in the community. Opportunities are out there for them. They can be rehabilitated. An ex-Boko Haram stands having laid his arms and comes back, turns his way away from his negativity. He stands to be a president of this country. He stands to aspire to any position in this country. Why is he wasting his time when he cannot even deliver? We will do that. But we have appealed to them, including their detractors, their collaborators, to see reason to, as fast as possible, quickly drop their arms so that we can once again reoccupy our peaceful position in Nigeria.
But particularly, the United States is concerned and outraged by the ongoing slaughter of thousands of Christians in Nigeria by various ethnic militias in the Middle Belt, as well as terrorists like Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa in the north. It is tragic and it is unacceptable. Churches are burning, villages are being razed, thousands are killed, clergy murdered, simply for wearing a cross, for being a Christian, for daring to say they worship Jesus as Christ. Just yesterday, 25 little girls were kidnapped from their school, and one school official murdered trying to protect them, from MAGA Comprehensive Girls Secondary School in Kebbi State. Colleagues, this is happening. It's undeniable, and it's unacceptable. The United States condemns these attacks in the strongest terms, and it demands accountability. And as President Trump has made clear, we will not stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria. The government of Nigeria must take immediate steps and do more to increase security, respond to early warnings, end impunity, and address the drivers of violence.
We want you to react to the outburst of Kanu today in court and how he was ordered to be thrown out.
Well, we have made it very clear that this trial in the first place was unnecessary. Nigeria is wasting its time on a trial that will take Nigeria nowhere, particularly at the time Nigeria is facing serious security challenges. That's what we should be focusing on, is how to retrieve the body of the Brigadier General that was killed, if they have not. It is how to save the 35 Muslim girls that were abducted from a high school, 25 of them. It is how to save 35 Christians who were attacked and abducted live. And that's what Nigeria should concern itself with, not a flimsy, frivolous trial to jail somebody whose only crime is asking for justice, in my view. I was watching part of it because I was in court for a different matter. And when they were describing the evidence they have, I was expecting them to say that they found him with an RPG. No. The only evidence they found in his room was a microphone. And then the biggest weapon was a radio transmitter. I have never heard that before, that a country will waste 10 years to prosecute somebody whose only weapon is a radio transmitter and a microphone. They also found underwear. The rest is hearsay, including, they presented, by the way, an interview from Sahara reporters. Should anybody be jailed for being interviewed by Sahara reporters? They kept mentioning it. Interview Sahara reporters, interview Sahara reporters. So if someone did an interview with CNN now, does that mean the person should be jailed? And I'm aware that they are still reading the judgment. Laboriously, you could tell that the judge is struggling. Laboriously. I'm just hoping that between the time they present the case and the time the judgment will be delivered, that common sense will prevail. And Kanu will be allowed to rejoin his family. And Nigeria, hopefully, will start facing its real challenges, of which Namdi Kanu is not one of them. Thank you very much.
So, Kanu's brothers have alleged that the Yorubas actually hate the Igbos with what's happening.
There's always excuse. And the Nigerian state manufactures hatred of ethnic groups against themselves. But ask yourself, was it a Yoruba man was it an Igbo man that jailed Awolowo? It was a Yoruba man. Abi? When I was arrested by DSS in 2019, all the guys who came to abduct me, one of them was Ijo, another one was speaking Yoruba. The fact that you speak Yoruba doesn't mean you are Yoruba. But all the guys that were in charge of my detention, they were Yoruba people. So when they want to use you against yourselves, it is then that I start telling you the judge is Yoruba, this thing. But when it comes to stealing Nigeria's money and wealth, sharing among themselves, there is no religion, there is no tribe. But when it is to pitch yourself against yourselves, of course, you might say that the preponderance of commentary is coming mostly from some of the Yorubas. But that doesn't mean that the Yorubas are in support of injustice. Even if you look at the history of the Yorubas, politically, they have never supported one political person wholeheartedly. There was Awolowo, there was Akintola, there was Ajashin, there was Omoboriowo, there was Abiola, and some Yorubas didn't support him. Yorubas have always been, free, just as Igbos are. It's not every Igbo person today that supports even the agitation for Biafra. Does that mean that those people are not Igbos? It's not every Hausa person today that supports blasphemy convictions against some people who are, or even though they are Muslims. So don't let anybody use that to divide you. The person who is president of Nigeria today is a Yoruba man whose only campaign buzzword is Emilokon, is my turn. He didn't say that it's the turn of the Yorubas. And go and ask the Yorubas under this regime what they are going through. That is what the Yorubas call Enikon Loba. Now the person where you touch, now they feel him. It's different from Emilokon. So you cannot be blaming, because before you know it now, Yorubas will start killing Igbos. Igbo will be killing Yorubas again, based on the misconception that the innocent, hungry Yoruba person is somehow or somewhat complicit in the nonsense that is happening against an Igbo man who is fighting for justice. Let's be careful about that, not to create that ethnic division any further. That's how they got us here. there's a breakdown of law and order in Nigeria already. Any country where a brigadier general can be abducted and killed, even when he fought himself, cannot be rescued, there's a break law of law and order. You see, there are two places to find order in the world. I mean, beyond. They said there's order in heaven and there's order in hell. The difference is that the first order and the first law in heaven is order. The last law in hell is order. Nigeria has become hell. Well, the last law is order. So there's no breakdown of law and order that can happen. But I know them. They can go and manufacture another breakdown of law and order. Even those of us who were peacefully protesting in this Abuja for Namdi Kanu, they claimed that we wanted to burn down the country. I spent 4 days in Kuje prison just because I said free Namdi Kanu. When I went to Lagos after that, they declared me wanted for fighting for Yoruba people whose houses they are demolishing. So when they create a narrative for you to fall for, be careful. So that you won't start killing and fighting the same poor people. Some of them don't even know about this trial because they are hustling to get food on their table maybe once or twice a day. So that is why I keep saying that the country needs a revolution. I don't have any doubt about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Smith, for convening this hearing. And I just want to recognize real quick the tremendous impact that Chairman Smith has had in this realm of human rights, Christian persecution over the decades. I'm a former staff member, actually, of this committee. I worked on this committee when Chairman Smith was on this committee. He had a very large impact on me as a staff member, and to come full circle back around and be on a hearing on such an issue that was really inspired by Chairman Smith's work here when I was a staff member. Thank you for that. And but I think one of the things that's, and I would say disheartening in this, hearing some of the media reporting and frankly some of my colleagues on the other side of the dais here, is this misdirection of what is happening. There is a persecution of Christians in Nigeria. The witnesses have made that clear. We heard the bishop speak. I don't know how many times we have to hear it or how many reports of martyred Christians, my brothers and sisters in Christ in Nigeria, how many times we have to hear that happen to take it seriously. And one of the things that concerns me is that it feels like at times it's echoing an indifference around this, and somehow we're going to develop our way out of it through developmental programs, and this indifference sounds like echoes of Rwanda to me, where we did nothing on that. And I think, as you remember quite clearly, President Clinton has stated that as one of his largest failures in his administration. President Trump has made a definitive decision to actively engage and stop the killing in Nigeria, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. You all have used a word that I think is very apt in this, and this is prioritization. And as Chairman Smith put it perfectly in his opening statement of this hearing when he spoke with the senior officials of the Nigerian government, is that we do want to work with them. We have the opportunity here. I think the Nigerians have an opportunity to deepen and strengthen their relationship with the United States if they will prioritize the protection of these communities. Of course, non-Christians are being killed too. We're not saying that's not happening, but there is a systematic, targeted campaign that's happening here. I met with that same delegation, same as Chairman Smith did, and some of the feedback we were getting is a little bit of that same misdirection. But let's not turn a blind eye to what's happening. Let's not believe our lying eyes, right? One thing I'd want to point out here is we've had religious organizations and advocacy groups have been calling for humanitarian assistance in the Middle Belt region. And my understanding is that the Tinubu administration has not specifically requested it. That's why it's not there. They just have to ask for it, and our State Department will then provide that assistance to those organizations on the ground. That is a perfect example of prioritization and indifference to what is happening here. So that would be a great, to use your department's term, confidence building measure on the part of the Tinubu government in this, if they are serious about this. Because I can promise you President Trump is. He is very serious about this. A question that I have for you is, the Nigerian Constitution prohibits the ownership of firearms. But somehow, these Fulani militants operating in the middle belt of region of the country, they're all armed. And we're not talking about ISIS, we're not talking about Boko Haram. Why hasn't there been some type of move or campaign by the Nigerian government to disarm these militants that are operating there, where we're seeing a lot of this killing that is coming from them? They have access to AK-47s and other small arms to slaughter Christians. Is this something that you've been talking to the Nigerian government about? Because I think it would actually have a serious impact, and it is something that I raised with the Nigerian government officials when we met with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Moore, and thank you also for your service on this task force that will be providing recommendations in your meetings with the Nigerian officials. Appreciate that. I think that this is an excellent suggestion as part of the strategy that we are putting together, in particular to talk about the policing aspect of this and what is happening in the Middle Belt, so that we can focus resources and have specific recommendations on actions that the Nigerian government can take. I very much appreciate that suggestion.
Yeah, it just seems to make all the sense in the world to me. It's like, here we are. I mean, I understand we're not going to get like ISIS to lay their arms down. That's probably more of a kinetic option there that's going to result in their arms no longer being brought up in anger against Christians. But in any event, this seems to be something that, obviously, I'm not saying it's easy, but it is something that they should be doing, they should be looking at. And while I got just a couple seconds left, I would urge the Nigerian government to take a look at pardoning Sunday Jackson, who is an individual who was fighting for his own life, defending his life against one of these Fulani militants. That Fulani militant lost his life in that struggle, and now that person, Sunday Jackson, is facing the death penalty. Now, where's the justice in that? Where is the justice in that? And all these Fulani militants are breaking the law. They are breaking Nigerian law. And so this Sunday Jackson disarms this person with a knife, protects his own life. He's going to prison and now faces the death penalty. And Fulani militants just roaming bands of them with AK-47s, and that's no problem. You are so right about this question of prioritization. I know I'm over time, Mr. Chairman, but I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Mr.